Good morning. Welcome back to Market Monday. Thanks for joining me each week and keeping up to date on what's happening in the housing market. So I have good news today and I'm super happy. I knew this was coming, or we've been projecting that it was coming. We do have 81 houses currently in the coming soon status that people that have committed in the last 7 days. So that's 81 new coming soon listings. And we also have 223 new listings in the last 7 days. So this is great news. That puts us over 300 for the week, which we have been predicting. Spring market was going to start a little late this year. I mean, it's been very busy, but we knew that our numbers were going to do normal spring market numbers once COVID, the mask restrictions were lifted, and almost 70% of our population is vaccinated. So this is definitely helping us to go into a more normal spring market. We had 198 houses that went contingent last week. We had 104 that went pending. Those potentially are cash deals with no contingency, no inspection, no appraisal type things, no financing contingency, because it's cash. And then we sold and closed 225 houses last week. Actually, yeah, and that one's down a little bit from the week before. I was trying to, because 351 kept sticking in my mind, and that was what we closed the week before due to the end of the month. So, all right, let's check out our new slide. This one I'm also super excited about. It has, in our area, we are almost at 900 houses for sale, and we have not seen this number for a while. So this was also really good news this week, and we thought this was coming. So 755 available homes and 123 current coming soon. So definitely the market's starting to open up a little bit more. That's over 100 new homes, more than what we had last week. So that's great. Oregon and Point Place are two areas that I like to talk about. Oregon, you currently have 17 active homes. That's up a little bit from last week. In Point Place, you have 6 available homes. And we had 3 new ones in Oregon last week, which that number was down. We had 1 new listing in Point Place last week. That number is actually up from 0 last week. We have no new coming soons in Oregon. Last week we had 4. And 2 new coming soons in Point Place. Last week we had 1. So contingents and pending. We had 11 in Oregon, 10 in Point Place. We had 7 that sold and closed in Oregon and 6 that sold and closed in Point Place. So if you're watching these numbers, we are going to start to see the numbers rise. So we're super excited about this. These are our April statistics. I don't have May's in. They usually don't come till around the middle of the month. The total number of homes that we sold in April was 506. That number was up over April of 2020, which we expected it to be. Sales price has continued to rise over the course of the last year, and we're up. April was up to $190,396 for the average sales price in Lucas County and Upper Wood County. The number of days on the market was down to about 61 days. That was a dramatic decrease of 25.6%. And new listings in April, we actually had 712 this year, which was up 57.9% from last year, which we expected this number to be a little skewed because, of course, we had the pandemic in April of 2020. So we weren't able to have the number of new listings in the spring that we would normally have. A lot of people are asking if we're in a bubble. People remember the housing crash back in 2008 and 9 and 10, and everybody kind of felt like we were in a bubble and they were overappraising houses. So I want to talk about that a little bit, because this is not a traditional bubble. This is simply a lack of supply. As we've been talking about for weeks, we have not had enough inventory. And you can just see here, 2020 over 2021, and I didn't even, April's not on this slide, But December of 2020 to 2021, you can see that inventory levels on single family homes dramatically decreased from 1,210,000 to 880,000. So that's over 300,000 homes not available. And then in March, it was even more than that, because traditionally, March of 2020 last year, we had 1,310,000. And this year we only had 900,000. So dramatic increase or decrease in inventory, which is causing the low inventory. And you can see on this, this is a scale over the last 2 years. And you can see where we're at now. We have about this was actually in March. I don't have April numbers on this slide, but you can see that we have about 2.1 months worth of inventory, which is how long it would take us to sell all the inventory that we have in our area. And this is dramatically decreased. You can see normally we would carry somewhere between 4.3 and 4.6 in a typical spring going into summer market. And we headed into this spring summer market with a 2.1 months worth of inventory. Do we think that the economy housing inventory is going to grow again? Absolutely. This is a slide we took a look at a couple weeks ago. We believe that the second half of 2021 is going to be great for inventory. We already seen that bump this past week of over 100 extra new homes. We went from having a little or around 200 new listings to almost 300. So 43%. In surveying chief economists, they said that they believe that the inventory definitely will grow in the second half of 2021 and potentially into the spring of 2022. So 26% on the spring. Home sales are forecasted to increase nicely in 2021, which is already happening. We're seeing higher sales this year. And then they also project that the beginning of 2022, we're also going to be up on our numbers. So that's what these slides represent. Buyer demand. We've been talking about low inventory. We also have low interest rates and high buyer demand. So a typical mortgage payment back in 2000, let's just say January 2000, would have been around $1,100. And then we were going into the housing, right before the housing crisis in 2006, that same typical 30-year mortgage, 20% down, that house payment would have been $1,309. So you can see people were buying houses and they were paying more money because the interest rates were higher. Today, the blue, you can see the blue where it says 826, that same typical mortgage, 20% down, same number, fixed 30-year mortgage, that payment today is only 826. So while many people are worried about the rising prices because of the low inventory and high demand, you can see that house payment is about $500 less per month than it was in June of 2006 for the same mortgage. So though you are paying a little bit more on the front end as a buyer, due to the low interest rates, you are able to buy a much higher priced home at this lower inventory or lower interest rate, and your payment is almost $500 less a month. So it's really a great time to be a seller. If you're thinking about selling your home, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. My number is 419-356-0276. If you're thinking about buying, it's a great time, as we've talked about the interest rates. It's a great time to be a buyer too. So I welcome any questions. Please feel free to follow me on my Facebook page. It's Brenda Kilburn, RE/MAX Preferred Associates. I post lots of information throughout the week that is helpful to both buyers and sellers. So looking forward to talking to you next Monday. Have a great week.